There's a narrative that isn't going away. It's just getting more and more headlines. And I thought I should probably address it this morning. Uh, Elon Musk sounded dour, yes, at the last earnings call. And a lot of people blame the fall of the Tesla stock after the earnings call or during the earnings call and after the earnings call on that dour mood. I think that there's maybe a few points that it might have dropped because of his, kind of depressed attitude. But in general, let's face it, Elon does have an apocalyptic view of the future. So that's going to be part of the personality. I've often wondered, have you ever wondered about this? Is my optimism, my crazy over the top optimism, something that's in the DNA? Are we born with kind of an inclination in one way or the other in terms of our optimism or pessimism, half glass full, glass half empty approach to life? I don't know. But in Elon's case, we know that certainly by his teens, he was already getting this view of the future, that there was plenty of opportunity for things to go badly wrong. Anyway, I'm going to dig into the Wall Street Journal article that just popped up this morning. I'm going to take it apart piece by piece because I think we need to start working on reversing the aspects of this narrative that are not helpful to Elon, to the stock, to the company, to the world, because we don't want Elon necessarily to be seen as somebody who is so apocalyptic that he can't get the job done. We want him to see him as someone who is realistic, that there are potential horrors in our world that could be unleashed at any time. And we've seen some of them just in the last 4 years. So it isn't crazy time, is it? This is Randy Kirk. Help the channel in every way that you can. If you like the channel, help it out. Like, subscribe, notify, all those things. Now, I know I said I was going to have Bill Rayman on this morning, and he's going to talk about his book and about how to buy a house, and he's going to talk about the mortgage market and where it's going, what's happening right now, why it might not matter. That's going to be one of the interesting parts that you definitely want to see, and why you should just go buy a house right now if that's what you intended, if that's what you need to do. Anyway, Bill ended up so busy yesterday afternoon on a Friday that we couldn't record, so we're going to record later today. And so it might be on this afternoon early, or it might be on tomorrow morning. Not quite sure yet. Okay, let's, and don't forget to buy your Cybertruck bottle opener and support Patreon. All the information down below in the description. All right, let's dig into the Wall Street Journal article. So it starts off by saying, in many ways, Elon Musk is the world's biggest doomsday prepper. Well, I guess that's pretty funny. So yes, he is doing on a worldwide basis, on an international, even intergalactic level, he is prepping for a possible doomsday. So yes, that would be true. And yet, on the other hand, I don't think he does much at all in terms of his daily life to be worried about whether that doomsday might impact him. In fact, he says there's a lot of advantages to having a life that has limits because he could use some rest, he says. Anyway, that's actually what he said. He could use some rest. So it goes on to say, the billionaire entrepreneur has made his fortune and his reputation chasing a future bettered by technology. But the flip side of his optimism, the optimism that these things can be fixed, is a fixation on the worst case scenarios that he is determined to avoid. Now, on these days, Musk sounds worried, and about everything from cyclical business jitters to existential global concerns. He choked with emotion during a recent public conference call with Tesla analysts about the economy. This past week, he warned during on X about civilizational risks stemming from the Israeli-Hamas war, cascading into a wider conflict that could pit the U.S. against the United China, Russia, and Iran. And they quote him, "I think we are sleepwalking our way into World War III," Musk said Monday. Well, so Elon isn't wrong. We've had world wars start over much less than what's going on right now in Russia, Ukraine, much less than what is going on with two crazy leaders in Iran and in North Korea, much less than the Hamas folks who have absolutely no interest or concern in their own citizenry and or human life at all, or decency, and are just absolutely rabid animals, creating all this confusion in the Middle East. Again, not like it's the first time. So historically, we can take a look and see what's going on with regard to all these conflicts and wonder, well, are we sleepwalking our way into some major regional or even international or maybe worldwide war, nuclear or not, but still a world war, and nobody wants that. So is it good that we have somebody providing a warning? Would that maybe be the next sense that they should have indicated in this article? Well, anyway, they go on to say, because that's not what they're trying to show here, not exactly the jovial Elon Musk many are familiar with from Saturday Night Live or his X feed, where he often shares crude and childish jokes with his more than 160 million social media followers. Well, he hangs out with a bunch of people that are between the ages of 18 and 40. And so most of those folks are still telling crude and childish jokes. And, actually, come to think of it, some people that I know that are well into their 60s are still telling those same jokes. Anyway, over the years, the article says, Musk has framed his business endeavors as striving to prevent a calamity. Now, this is a motivating idea that helps inspire employees and investors and fans while inducing eye rolls among critics and rivals. Well, there's a much more than zero chance that a asteroid will hit the Earth. I don't know that anybody denies that. Anybody that understands anything about science would deny that there could be an asteroid that would hit the Earth. I don't know if anybody denies that volcanoes have created massive disruptions of the world system, and that there are supervolcanoes, lots and lots of science on supervolcanoes and what they could potentially do. We've just gone through a worldwide pandemic, which may or may not have been as big as some thought. Maybe we did or didn't slow it down or stop it. But given that pandemic and examples of earlier pandemics, who is it exactly that's eye-rolling with regard to the kinds of things that Elon talks about? They might be eye-rolling about his desire to create a colony on Mars so we have an escape zone, but I don't think they're eye-rolling about the potential for global calamity. Anyway, so for him, Tesla is about trying to save humanity from global warming. Not necessarily. I think this is incorrect. I think they made an error here. Elon believes that there is global warming. He does not believe that it is catastrophic. He doesn't believe that it is a problem that could destroy the world in any way, shape, or form. He is actually out to provide energy that does not have an end. In other words, he believes that oil and gas and other fossil fuels are not necessarily going to completely replenish as we go forward years into the future. And he's much more worried about population decline than he is about global warming. So I think they got this completely wrong. But he says that they say SpaceX is about making humanity a multiplanetary species in case things don't work out on Earth. That is 100% true. So they go on. A year ago, with the purchase of Twitter, now turned to X, Max couched the decision as keeping the social media platform as a bastion for free speech and what he sees as a larger battle against cultural forces trying to squash diverse thought, or as he calls it, the woke mind virus. Well, I don't know if you've paid any attention the last 2 weeks to the children, the young people, the 18 to 24-year-old group on our campuses who are they're ripping down posters that were put up that were asking for people to pray for Israel, that were talking about the the horrific, no way to state it any other way, assault on private civilians, children, babies, grandmothers, the capture and imprisonment of civilians. It's beyond anything that we can think about except the Holocaust. And then we have young people on our campuses that think this is terrible, that the Jews in Israel have decided that they need to avoid an existential threat, that is hundreds of yards from them. And therefore, these individuals on these campuses are trying to stop people from speaking, and they're trying to shut down speech. Just one example. Maybe you know other examples, but it seems like Elon's not the only one worried about this. Massive donors, huge numbers of donors are completely pulling their funding. The money that they've been sending to their alumni association, billions of dollars have been pulled back from Penn and other universities as a result of this terrible response to what's going on in the Middle East. So Musk said last month, I tend to view the future as a series of probabilities. There's a certain probability that something will go wrong, some probability that it'll go right. It's kind of a spectrum of things. And to the degree that there is free will versus determinism, then we want to try to exercise that free will to ensure a great future. I read, after debating the free will determinism thing since I was in high school, a few years ago, somebody finally straightened it out for me. They made it really, really clear about the argument. They said, whether free will is true or whether determinism is true, it doesn't really matter, because every single human being does all of their actions based on the idea that they have free will. Nobody stops acting because they think that their actions are deterministic. Everybody believes they have free will. So Elon believes he has free will, and he's acting to ensure a great future on a level nobody else is acting. Maybe nobody else has acted in history. So comments this week about World War III echoed concerns Musk has raised about the conflict between the Ukraine and Russia. Nuclear war probability is rising rapidly, he tweeted last fall, after months of fighting between the two countries. Well, since Russia started talking about using tactical nukes, these seem realistic to me. Now, I'm the ultimate optimist, but I need guys around me like Elon to bring me back to reality. So thank you, Elon. Anyway, Musk has been praised and criticized for his involvement in that war, including when he said last year that Crimea rightly belongs to Russia, a statement by someone seen in Washington and among people who are Ukrainian. Elon was being pro-Russian. He drew further rebuke after declining to activate SpaceX Starlink satellite communication system in Russia-occupied Crimea in order to aid a planned attack. So you may remember that the Ukrainians wanted him to provide additional Starlink services, so that they could destroy the Russian fleet in the North Sea. He said that he worried about activating Starlink then would have further stoked the conflict. I think if the Ukrainian attacks had succeeded in sinking the Russian fleet, it would have been like a mini Pearl Harbor and led to major escalations. He is quoted as saying in his book, the Elon Musk book by Walter Isaacson. Well, this past week, Musk returned to calling for peace, saying U.S. policies risk pushing Russia into an alliance with China, just as the Israeli-Hamas situation has the potential to expand. He cautioned that many people overestimate U.S. military might in such a scenario. Well, I think most people recognize and understand and agree that U.S. has the biggest military in the world, has the most sophisticated military in the world, the most capabilities of any military in the world. But in a regular World War III, it would probably not be pretty. It would probably not be anything like a World War II that only lasted 4 or 5 years. Yeah, it would probably be, I don't know anything about war theory. All I can tell you is the capabilities that exist now among 8, 9, 10, 11 nations in the world that have nuclear capability, including probably Israel, even though, of course, it's a secret. Yeah, the worst kept secret in the world. I don't think it's going to be a good thing. So I think we need to keep World War III from happening. Anyway, so he says that the United States is like this is Elon quoting, it's like a pro sports team that has been winning the championship for so long and for so many years in a row that we've forgotten what losing even looks like. And that's when the champion team loses. And of course, there's all kinds of theories, philosophical theories about that, as countries or civilizations or smaller tribes get weak. Because why? Because they're so pampered. I can't imagine that anybody would think that this generation of Americans is weak because they're pampered. Nah, come on. Comments below. Anyway, over the years, employees and investors have had to learn how to interpret and navigate Musk's emotional ups and downs. So I'm just glad that he's transparent. I'm glad that we see it. I'm glad that we know it. I'm glad that he wears his heart on his sleeve. And we get to find out what the moxie is of this guy that we support so strongly. Shares of Tesla, where he is chief executive, are down about 15% since the electric car maker's third quarter earnings call on October 18th, when he worried aloud about the threat of high interest rates to the business and suggested a slowdown ahead. What is the NASDAQ down? What is the S&P down? What is the Dow down in that same period? Check it out. Yes, I think that Tesla went down right after this earnings call. Now, what happened in the following 9 days? Oh, Tesla caught up. So yes, we're still down. We're down. We've been down almost 50% from the high of this last 2 years of 300, 299 and 29 cents or something. As I've been reminded many times, we didn't get to 300 like I said we would. We were less than $1 short. However, 50% retracement after a run up from 100 to 300, a 50% retracement to 200 is not unusual. In fact, maybe to be expected. Anyway, Elon quoted here, "I apologize if I'm perhaps more paranoid than I should be, because that might also be the case because I have PTSD from 2009, big time." He was referring to the painful years for Tesla and the rest of the auto industry during the 2008-2009 situation. Both General Motors and Chrysler went through government-backed bankruptcy restructuring that year after credit seized up and sales collapsed. We all remember that. And then Musk continued, mentioning another near-death experience for Tesla. 2017 to 19 were no picnic either. That was really tough sledding. So he's saying, look, I have had some periods of time here where I saw crises, and I was in the middle of those crises in a way that was existential to Tesla and to SpaceX. And so, I'm wary. So in the spring of 2022, Musk was predicting a recession that would last as long as 18 months. He says companies that are inherently negative cash flow, i.e. value destroyers, need to die so that they stop consuming resources, he tweeted. Weeks later, Tesla announced it was shedding workers. So if you think a recession is coming and you see signs and you take a look at the data and you analyze the analysts, and all of them, or a bunch of them, are saying it looks like we're going to have to go through a significant recession, and then we actually do go through 2 quarters of something that could have been called a recession. And then you take matters, you actually prepare. Oh, I wrote a book about that. Bicycle Dealer's Guide for Getting Rich in the Recession, where it said, if you see a recession coming, here's what you do to prepare. And that's the optimist. Get cash. Put so much cash aside, get out of debt, and lower. One of the big things I talk about in the book is lower the total number of employees to the lowest you can possibly do, and then be cash prepared. Those are the 2 main things I said in the book. I wrote that book, let's see, back in, I don't know, before 2000, I think, in the 1990s. Anyway, the predicted recession hasn't occurred theoretically, and I don't think it will. And I think that Elon was wrong in his analysis. And I think he still sees that there's a pretty high potential that there will be one. And he could be right. But if it's going to be a recession, I think it's going to be a really light one, unless major things happen. A regional war, for instance, World War III, for instance, some kind of a major bank failure that cannot be solved by the Fed. Anyway, lots of things can happen. So Kimball Musk says, quote, "My brother believes an economic winter is coming every single day." He once told, apparently Kimball Musk told his lawyers that that's Elon's mindset. The older Musk, however, isn't worried about the fragility of markets, but humanity itself. To be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days, Musk said during an update of SpaceX's large rocket development. I'm an optimist, but I think we've got to protect the downside here and try to build that city on Mars as soon as possible and secure the future of life. So among his stated worries, of which he has tweeted, a big rock will hit Earth eventually, and we currently have no defense. And he stated population collapse due to low birth rates is a much bigger risk to civilization than global warming, and it is. So these are his stated worries. Those are just some of his stated worries. He has lots of other ones. His darker thoughts have influenced his consumer products. For years, Musk has touted an air filtration system on Tesla vehicles that could defend against a bio attack, and has promised the coming Cybertruck is bulletproof. Yes. I don't think the new Cybertruck is bulletproof because he's worried about being in one during war, but maybe. I think it's more fun and PR. Musk said in the summer of 2020, things are becoming more apocalyptic these days. He says, let me tell you, the truck you want in the apocalypse is the Cybertruck. I'm thinking PR here. I'm thinking humor here. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I think so. This summer, he framed his creation of an artificial intelligence startup called XAI in his typically grandiose terms, cautioning that the technology has the potential to spiral out of control and essentially turn on its master, something akin to the Terminator movie. Yes. How many hundreds of sci-fi books have been written on this subject? How many philosophers, futurists have talked about the potential for AI to spiral out of control? This is not Elon's. He's not alone on this. So he says, I think it's actually important for us to worry about a Terminator future in order to avoid a Terminator future, he said. And that makes total sense to me. And I think, some regulation is certainly needed, although I doubt if it'll do any good because the criminals will get it anyway. So voicing his concerns about such calamity might be the best way for him to deal with his worries. That's not what he does. He doesn't voice his concerns. He acts on them. I'm sorry, Wall Street Journal. That's a second time a complete miss. So accept worst case outcome and assign it a probability, which is usually very low. Now think of good things in life and assign them probabilities. Many are certain, he tweeted a couple of years ago. Bringing anxiety and fear to the conscious mind saps it of limbic emotional strength. Cheery fatalism is very effective, is the final quote of the article. Cheery fatalism. So I thought I'd bring that to you. I thought it was a well-written article, only two major mistakes. I think that the big mistake is to not pay more attention to the fact that Elon is building 7 major companies out of those fears, out of his belief that he can do something about it. I wish I had done as much in my life, or could do as much in my life in the future, to deal with these fatalistic fears that I think, in his case, the ones that he cares about are all, as he says, greater than zero chance. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. So later today, probably, or first thing tomorrow morning, Bill Rayman will be on to talk about his methodologies for buying a house, even in tough times, even in these times when sometimes there's 20 bids on a house and most of them are for cash. He has a solution. He absolutely has a solution. So one of the reasons he's in the top 1% of all mortgage lenders in the country, and he has all kinds of other things that are completely contra to what you think you know about buying a home or buying and selling homes throughout your lifetime. And these would be great things for you, no matter what age you are now, and great things to talk to your kids about. And maybe you'll want to tell your friends to watch this video. I think you're going to find that it is so completely different than what you think that you'll go, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. All right, hit like and subscribe, hit notify so you'll be reminded about that show. And of course, this afternoon, I've got the news show as usual, where we'll talk about all the Tesla news that has happened so far since Friday night, because Nobody else reports the news on Saturday, Tesla news. And also, please remember that starting Monday, well, actually starting Thursday, but starting this week, Monday through Thursday, I will now be doing, I haven't decided what to call it. Somebody said I should call it the happy hour, meaning the one and only happy hour. So the happy after hour. How about that? The happy after hours. Yeah, something like that. Let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to get a name for this show. All right. And then have you bought your Cybertruck bottle opener yet? I just want to remind you, I'm not going to go into the pitch again. You could recite it. I'm sure you could tell me what the pitch is. But, you know, information down below, no matter how many you want to buy. And have you joined Patreon yet? Had a great month for Patreon. Thank you very much for everybody that has joined Patreon this month. But I could use a few more. It wouldn't hurt. We're still too shy of my 125 goal that I had last month. But we did have a very good month that come within two. So maybe you could be one of those too, if you've been thinking about joining Patreon, where we tell the news all day long. As soon as it happens, boom, I throw it up there. All right, that's it. I thought you might like that. I hope you did. This is Randy Kirk, and it's been great talking to you. If I can find the off switch here.